Hi everyone, it's Miss Samuels again, and again I don't have my hat on for media. I'm just here to talk to some amazing teachers about their subjects and hopefully give you an insight into the world of Oaks. So you might be sitting there already dead cert on what you're going to go for next year, and that's absolutely fine. But hopefully these sessions will open your mind to other subjects that you can study. So in this video, you have got Miss Anderson, who teaches maths. We've got Miss Williams, who teaches art. We've got Mr. Watkins, who teaches politics. We've got Miss West, who teaches psychology. Mr. Lanza is here for core maths and further maths. And then we've got Miss Orton here for chemistry. So my very first question is going to go out to everyone. So don't panic. I will pull on you. You don't all have to shout out at once. But what do you cover in your subject? I'm guessing you all are A-level. I know that psychology we have as an A-level and an applied, and I'll explain that in a little while. But what do you cover in your A-level subject over the 2 years? Let's start with Mrs. Williams with art. So what do you cover in art?
Hello, everybody, and all those artists out there. So simply say we would start with a foundation course, and then from the foundation course, which is an introduction of you to us and us to you, we will cover skills, materials, approaches, ideas, all inspired by artists. This will go through so that you've got 2 units. Unit 1 is a portfolio of artwork that you choose the development of the theme, and then unit 2 you build onto in year 13, and that will take you through with a given theme from the exam board. Just about it, I think.
Fantastic. So I'm guessing you've got to be creative to take on art. That is the biggie there.
We would like people to be enthusiastic. If you've got the enthusiasm, we will find your medium, your skill, your potential.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Mr. Watkins, politics.
In politics, you look at how power is structured in a country, and we focus on the UK in the first year. We look at who makes decisions. So we look at the role of Parliament, of the Prime Minister, judges, and how the system works. And we also look at how people get involved. So we look at elections, we look at pressure groups, we look at political parties, and we look at how individuals try to influence the structures of power. And then in year 2, we basically switch our attention to the United States, and we compare the way things work in the United States and the issues that they debate there with those of the UK.
Fantastic. Politics has been the real talking point, I think, especially in the news and with lots of students out there, both UK and US. So I think that probably sounds like quite an interesting course.
If you're the sort of person who likes current affairs and you enjoy following on the news and want to understand why the news is the way it is, some of the stories behind the headlines, then it's the subject for you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Watkins, for a nice summary there. Let's move over to maths with Miss Anderson.
Yeah. So in maths, we start exploring things other than pure maths. So a lot of GCSE is just about, those algebra skills and doing basic level geometry and those kind of things. And then when we get to A-level maths, we start marrying things like statistics and mechanics into the course as well, and doing higher order proof and just seeing a bunch of just new cool things that actually you didn't really get the chance to explore with in GCSE.
Fab. I just heard the words cool and maths in one sentence, but I'm guessing that it can be cool for some people.
It's cool for everyone, yeah, every day.
I'm sure I've just insulted loads of mathematicians out there, and it is a very popular course. But it's one of those which it's quite challenging, isn't it, maths compared to GCSE? Would you say?
It is. There is a bit of a jump, but I mean, when you come to Oaks, we're really able to support you quite well with our small class sizes and our really fantastic teachers. And so even though it is a big jump, we are there to, scaffold it up and give you the building blocks you need to make that jump from GCSE to A-level maths.
Fantastic. With all of these subjects, if you still want to find out a little bit more information like subject requirements, etc., and what else you need for those courses, click onto our website and there's loads of information on there. But thank you, Miss Anderson, for that. Miss Orton, tell us about chemistry.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so at chemistry at A level, I mean, really, we sort of recap and build on many of the ideas and just develop them further from, the course at GCSE. We follow a particular course here, the OCRB Salters course, which sort of teaches each of the ideas in different sort of context themes, which is quite nice. So we start by looking at a topic called elements of life. So we're looking at sort of all of, obviously all of the elements that are involved and play a part of, well, life. And we go on and we look at a topic on fuels and topics on elements from the sea and the ozone. And we talk about obviously the atmosphere, and going into year 13, we'll look at things like the ocean. So they're all in quite sort of real life context, which is obviously quite interesting to have a look at and to study.
Fantastic. Is coronavirus one of the big talking points in chemistry? Do you still look at that sort of area?
Probably less so in chemistry, possibly more of a biological area, but obviously coronavirus has been quite a big thing across all sciences, so it's often relevant to various things that we're learning about throughout.
Absolutely. And the cool thing that we found out in the last video with biology is that they get to cut things up and dissect. In chemistry, do you get to blow things up and find out about different potions and lotions and stuff?
I'm not going to go so far as to say we blow things up, but absolutely we do a wide range of practicals. Part of the A level is doing a practical endorsement certificate. You get a practical endorsement alongside really your A level, and for that you have to do various kind of practicals along the way and build various skills. We don't just limit our practical work to that particular practical endorsement certificate. We do a large amount of practicals as we go through the course, because we really think it helps people to sort of understand what we're learning about, and it's part and parcel, part of the reason for doing science, isn't it? So we want to do as much as possible, it does come up at the end of the course. The practical work is as well as having the practical endorsement, the practical work is sort of assessed in a practical paper as well. So we think it's really important that people do as many practicals as possible to get used to all of that and develop their practical skills, which maybe some people have had more chance to do at secondary school than others. So yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. Loads of beautiful big labs as well for the students to get stuck in with those non-explosions practicals, and again, like Miss Anderson was saying, we've got small class sizes, so the ability to do these practicals well and work on them really thoroughly with your teachers is quite an asset to the Oaks. Let's move over to core maths with Mr. Lanza. What is core maths?
Right, so core maths is, you don't normally do it as an A level. It's a fourth subject you do, and the big thing is real life. So like normally as a maths teacher, a lot of what am I going to ever use this in real life? It's a question you don't really get in core maths, because we do a lot of things that are actually quite applicable. So we do quite a lot of statistics, and actually it's quite helpful if you do a bunch of other courses that involve statistics. So I know psychology has a bit of stats. I know so does biology, for example. So we do a bit of that. That will obviously help you do that. We also do a bit of finance, so how your taxes work, how student loans work, how mortgages work. And so that's a lot of stuff that I wish I'd learned at school, to be honest. And then we do a bit of something called Fermi estimation, which is about how we use maths to answer questions that are quite difficult to kind of research. And it might help in things like, planning an event, for example. And we do also a bit of looking at maths in the media and how math numbers are presented and how numbers are tortured a bit to kind of suit an agenda. So it's quite different from what math might have been like at GCSE, but it's really interesting.
So that's when you bring in COVID and you look at all of
we have looked at like COVID graphs and COVID numbers, and there's kind of the math side of disease modeling is actually quite interesting as well. So we have looked at a bit at that.
Great. Fantastic. I think you should rename yours from core math to like life skills, because if I'm learning taxes, how to understand statistics in the media, and just answering questions and things like that, maybe it needs to be a new name, life skills.
Yeah.
In the future, perhaps, maybe. But I think we all build life skills with all of these subjects. Last but nowhere near least, Miss West, who does psychology and our new course, applied psychology as well.
Hi there. So psychology is about trying to understand human behavior. It tries to answer the question, why do people behave the way that they do? And I'm sure we all have that question when we're wandering down the street or functioning with our families and friends. Why did they behave in that way? We kind of ask ourselves. So psychology really tries to answer that question. And in year 1 of the A-level psychology course, you would study things like social influence. So that looks at obedience and conformity. Why do people give in to peer pressure? Why do we obey people in a position of authority? We look at memory. So how does our memory work? Why do we forget things? How can we improve our memories to remember things like for exams a little bit better? We look at attachment. So that looks at an infant's relationship with their sort of primary caregiver and how that might affect their relationships later on in life. Psychopathology is another topic, so that covers a range of different mental illnesses. How might those develop and how can they be treated? And then underpinning those kind of 4 main topics are approaches in psychology. So that's a little bit like putting on different lenses. How might we understand human behavior through a biological viewpoint or a cognitive viewpoint? And then also research methods, which again underpins all of that. How are we actually studying human behavior? How can we actually go about conducting experiments with people in a sort of safe, ethical way that give us the understanding that we have about things like obedience, attachment, and mental illness? So that's most of what is covered in year 1 of the A-level psychology course. In year 2, we might look at things like aggression, romantic relationships, schizophrenia. And then the BTEC psychology simply has more of a health focus, a sort of health in terms of physical health and well-being, and also mental health and well-being.
Fantastic. And if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know the difference between an applied course and an A-level course, well, they both have the same amount of UCAS points. So when you're applying to university, you can absolutely still get to the courses that you want to do based on UCAS numbers and results, but they work slightly differently. So A-level tend to have many more exams compared to the BTEC, which is much more applied, sort of hands-on, practical coursework, might be more essay writing rather than timed essay writing in an exam, etc. And if you want to find out any more information about the applied psychology course or any of our BTEC courses, of course, you can go to our website. Let's talk about coursework then, because I just briefly mentioned it. I know Miss Orton talked about practical work and getting stuck in with the practicals, but I'm sure there's lots of students out there that like that hands-on learning and learning different things in a practical way. One of the most practical subjects out of all of these that I'm looking at is probably art, which does have an exam and a coursework element to it. Am I right, Mrs. Williams?
You're right. Yes. So Unit 1 is worth 60% of your entire mark, and that runs for a year and a half. So by the time we get to the December of year 13, you are just doing your final. We do an exam, so you have an opportunity to work on for about 3 days. You can have more time if you require, but that completes Unit 1, and it's a portfolio of work, all coursework, and you're building up skills and you're building up developments of ideas, all scattered with artists all the way through that. And then you move on to the exam. Now that is given out in the year 13, and that is in January. And we give you a paper that's just got a simple question on it, exactly the same as you'll have done in GCSE. And you've just got 3 months to prepare an outcome with a 3-day exam, 15 hours.
So it's rather than a written exam, it's more practical, would you say?
All practical, all the way through. There is an essay component, but we will guide you all the way through that. But I would say the whole of the art course is coursework where we are supporting and helping you, and you have a total independent way of choice of subject matter, materials, anything that you want to do, really. You direct the course.
So I've been up to the art department, which is fantastic. And I know some of our virtual tours with the students, if you manage to see those on the website, you get to see some of the work that's been created, and it's fantastic. Do students stick to things like portraits and stuff? What sort of things are they creating?
Okay, so well, just behind me, actually. So we've got traditional painting, kind of fine art, development of that. We've also got illustration coming through. We've had people doing furniture design, sculpture. We've had fashion designers. We have no house style. What we're looking for is you as an individual to come with your skills, and we will work with you to find out. So we've got printmakers at the moment, interior designers, graphic designers, cartoonists, graffiti artists. That's just for this year.
Fantastic. Sounds brilliant. Really good stuff. So we're already making some new interior designers of the future, but we've also got some chemists on the way. You know, they're able to wear their white coats with all of those practicals. Miss Anderson, what sort of things could they be doing in maths in terms of assessment? What is it? And then what have they got for the opportunities of the future with doing maths as well?
Yeah, so for us, we actually have 3 different papers that they take at the end of year 13. So the first 2 papers are both pure, so just looking at those things like proof and algebra skills and applying it to geometry. And then we have an applied paper, which is a combination of both statistics and mechanics. And then, you know, the thing I really love about maths is it's so versatile, and you can, I mean, it's going to help you in the future no matter what career you really go into, and it opens up a lot of doors. So things like engineering and any kind of financial maths like actuarial science and accountancy and things like that.
Fantastic. Just by nodding heads, I think the rest of the courses are all exam based, as far as I'm aware. We've got them all exam based rather than coursework itself. But just so that we get an idea, with your course that you've got, what could you be doing in terms of career wise? So we've just said engineering and manufacturing, or even become a maths teacher like Miss Anderson, perhaps. And we know from art, there's a wide range of artistic skills that you could be learning. Mr. Watkins, just becoming a politician with politics?
What's one option? It leads you into lots of areas of public service, so working in different parts of government services. Law as well is a popular combination. Lots of people go to do law or journalism, or indeed business, economics. It has relevance to a whole range of different careers, not just going on to become a politician.
Fantastic, thank you. Psychology with Miss West.
Yeah, similar to politics, really. Psychology is incredibly versatile in being able to take that as an A-level into a lot of different careers. You could take it into a career in education, into healthcare, into business. If you wanted to qualify as a psychologist, you would have to do some further training, but there's educational psychologists, clinical psychologists, sports psychologists, researchers, so that there really is a whole range of different options. Something that I always sort of say to students who are thinking about doing A-level psychology and where it might take them is, if you're interested in working with people in any capacity, then psychology will really, really help with that.
Fantastic, thank you. Miss Orton.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, chemistry leads quite naturally into anything particularly scientific, chemistry based that you want to do, but likewise actually for things like even medicine, often for medicine, chemistry is actually the preferred subject over biology, and I mean various other things such as sort of pharmacy, pharmacology, that sort of thing, and I suppose in a way similar to maths, really, because of all of the sort of scientific skills that you learn, the investigation skills you learn, the sort of the problem solving skills, the using logic to you know plan an investigation to find out, you know, to process your results, really anything that kind of takes you know a logical approach, like you were just saying, you know, even in a business world, you know, it's really beneficial.
Fantastic, thank you. Mr. Lanza, I know that you teach core maths, but you've also are here to represent further maths as well. Is there any other jobs that you wanted to contribute to or tell us about that could do from the world of maths?
I mean, from a core maths perspective, I think it does give you loads of like really employable skills. So I think we look at spreadsheets, and actually being able to use spreadsheets is one of those things actually is really helpful on a CV and could just make your job a lot easier. And in terms of the data literacy, in terms of further maths, I think if you like maths, if you want to get into something that is very mathsy, so whether it's maths or physics later on, I think further maths is a really nice way of deepening your understanding there. But also, I mean, it's one like chemistry and like normal maths, it's just about also developing your problem solving skills and that sort of thing, which is quite versatile.
Fantastic. I mean, we do offer further maths. I'm thinking you can only take further maths if you're taking maths as well. Is that correct?
Yes. All
So
the
what's the
content.
difference between the two courses, between maths and further maths?
Well, further maths is effectively it's more maths. So you get to look into some ideas that you wouldn't cover in the normal maths course. Some really nice ideas in maths. I mean, some like complex numbers, which is one of those like historically really nice ideas in further maths. We look at differential equations, which if you do engineering or physics is really useful. They kind of form the backbone of most of the maths that's done in science. So they're really like, I mean, it is difficult. It's a really challenging course, but it is really rewarding. And if you want to go into that sort of maths or science in particular, it is really useful.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I've noticed some of my students that do media and then they do maths, they do further maths. And I'm like, gosh, I can't even work out my 9 times tables at times. So yeah, we have got some real maths fanatics at this college. And again, small class sizes mean that the teachers do get to be able to work with these students and help them so much. And they get to build up this fantastic community of mathematicians as well, or whatever subject that they're going for. Next question, I'm sure lots of students will be sitting there thinking about possibly the future, and if they've decided on your course, they want to be prepared for it. What sort of equipment do they need for your subject? So we'll start off with Mr. Watkins with politics. Any equipment needed for politics?
No equipment that you need to buy or purchase. What you need to be able to do is you need to be interested in following along current affairs. But as long as you've got an internet connection, you can access all sorts of websites. You can access lots of good stuff in the news for free. So we may make a suggestion of textbooks and things you could buy when on the course, but there's nothing that you need to purchase in order to be able to enjoy politics. It's more about having a mind that's interested in current affairs and that enjoys reading about things.
There's also the opportunity, isn't there, to when out of COVID times, we've got trips where we can go to Parliament. Yeah, go down to Parliament as well. And just so that everyone's aware, we do have the availability of a bursary for students that might need financial help. And of course, we can talk to you about that another time to help you with equipment or trips, etc., to benefit you and your courses. Miss West, psychology, what do they need?
An analytical mind, so nothing particularly to buy, similar to politics. You know, we will recommend different textbooks or revision guides that you could purchase, but you don't have to kind of come prepared with one. But yeah, just an analytical mind to kind of look at the studies and theories that we're looking at in a really sort of critical way.
Fantastic, thank you. Miss Orton, chemistry?
Yeah, so similar really. I mean, obviously for all the practical stuff, we're all set up at the college. So, you know, even from goggles to like lab coats, we lend you those, so you don't have to worry about any of that. In terms of, I mean, yeah, it's really just your basic equipment that you need. I'd probably go along with maths and make sure you have some sort of scientific calculator, because there is quite a bit of maths in chemistry and in all areas of science really. And like the others have said, we do exactly the same. So we have obviously textbooks that we use in school, and we may well recommend that you buy those to use at home, although they can be quite expensive, so it's often good to see if you can get some of those secondhand off people. Or we do have, I think, digital copies of the textbooks particularly, but we will also recommend sort of revision guides, which are usually quite a lot cheaper and probably much more useful really. And you can always come and borrow books from the labs and stuff. So in terms of sort of, you know, having to buy stuff in advance, nothing really, so long as you've still got a working calculator and the usual basic equipment. But yeah, as sort of the course goes on, as time goes on, we may well recommend various things to help you with working from home.
Fantastic. Although I am disappointed, I was expecting you to say they needed a lab coat with their name on the back of it or something. You know, I was thinking of like designer branding perhaps for chemistry.
Yeah, I also think it'd be quite nice to get some sort of Oaks branded science goggles as well, wouldn't it really? I'll look into it.
Miss Anderson, what do they need for maths?
Well, Miss Orton's already spoiled the surprise. You definitely need a calculator for maths. So we do have one that we do recommend because sometimes we don't exactly have the right ones from GCSE. So ooh, I wonder if we can see. We can. So this is our normal recommendation. It's just the Casio A-level maths class whiz one. Really great calculator. But some students are opting to go to a little bit fancier of a calculator now too. See if I can get up in there. And so these calculators are really neat because you can actually do graphing on them. And you can see more things about complex numbers than you would normally on the smaller calculator. But it's just it's more of a what's the word I'm looking for? This is like all the bells and whistles. This is all you need. It really is. But we do have a few students starting to opt for this more fancy ones now too. And I've turned it on. Welcome to my lists.
Love it. Thank you, Miss Anderson. Mrs. Williams, anything that they need for art?
So if you've already done GCSE, you probably have already got quite a collection of materials, and you might even have started to specialise in something. We do offer a small shop and a kit concept when you get in, that you can purchase things from us when you arrive. But, you know, artists will work with anything, rubbish, anything at all. But having equipment will make, I think, the course a little bit more enjoyable.
Fantastic.
But we can offer that, and we do have a shop.
So, you know, tidy those bedrooms and put a bag to the side, and that can be your materials for art in the future, perhaps, to help you out. We've mentioned career opportunities. We've mentioned sort of the things that you need to take on with these courses. If there is any other questions you might have, we do have our student webinars, and I'm sure our year 12s will tell you the honest truth about these subjects. So you can find out a little bit more information. But all of these teachers here, these beautiful faces, are happy to answer any of your questions by email. So if there is something that we haven't answered today, please make sure that you do email them, and they'll be able to respond to you and let you know the lowdown on those Oaks subjects. So my last question to all of you before we finish is, in one sentence or slightly less, why should someone, or maybe 2 sentences, why should someone choose your subject at the Oaks? Why particularly should they enroll and say, yes, I'm definitely going to be an artist, a politician, a psychologist, a chemist, or an artist, or a Cormathian? So there you go. I got them all in there. Let's have a look. Miss West, tell us, why should they choose psychology?
Because people are interesting, and we're around people all the time, every day, and there's so much that we can learn about people. And learning psychology, you'll just gain a lot of insight, and things will start to make a little bit of sense in terms of why we do behave the way that we do.
Fantastic. Thank you. Mrs. Williams, and art?
Just simply to say that I think the world without art would be a dull place, and therefore everyone needs to express themselves in some way. But if you've got that talent, folks, you need to be able to do something with it, and we can help you.
Absolutely. What I do love about the Oaks is it is a very creative place, and things like the Arts Festival has really shown that in the past. So get on our website, have a little look at the different things that we've been creating, and see if it's the right subject for you. Mr. Watkins, politics.
You should do politics if you're interested in understanding the world around you and how power structures shape that, and or if you're interested in changing the world yourself.
Fantastic. Our future world leaders studying those subjects and helping benefit the world around us. Good stuff. Mr. Lanza, core maths.
Well, because maths is really good at helping you, like I think kind of like politics, understand the world around you. And in a way, it also serves as kind of protection against people who might try to deceive you and fool you and otherwise trick you, and they can at least let you try and see through all that.
Fab. Unfortunately, you can only choose 3 or 4 courses, so I know this is a really hard decision listening to all of these. Miss Anderson, maths.
There's just so many reasons, but I think my favorite reason is there's nothing better than solving a difficult maths problem. Like, go around and show people, look how smart I am. It's just so satisfying.
And if you haven't had the opportunity, please get on our iOaks website and see the fantastic escape room, which is using maths, and it just shows you problem solving skills are absolutely a fantastic skill to have. So great. And then finally, last but nowhere near least, chemistry with Miss Orton. Why?
Well, chemistry, along with all of the other sciences, really, it's all about how the things around us work, really, isn't it? And understanding, you know, in more detail exactly what's going on and how it works. And as I said, with our with our sort of real life context topics, it really, you know, gives people a much deeper understanding of what's going on around us and how it works.
Fantastic. If there was, I haven't missed anyone, have I? I'm just making sure. I thought we had a fabulous roundup there. If there are any questions you might have, feel free to come to our Q&A sessions that are live. Do email the teachers that you can find on the screens through our website. There is the option to do that. And please do go and have an exploration of the website. There's loads more information on there to help you make those decisions for your future. But I want to say thank you to all of the fabulous teachers before me. I'm inspired and wish I could go back to college and study all of these. Maybe not maths, because I was so terrible at maths, but I'll try. I'll go to core maths and then see what I can do from there. But thank you very much for taking part today, and thank you for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye.